session is about map layers. How many map layers do we have inside Tableau, and what other layers are available? Let's how they will look like. We have different map layers in Tableau. So if you just see here, the map layers are available on the US Center data because Tableau defaultly has these layers related to the US data. And in the following map layers, what there is many of the maps will have the map layers. If you just go to the map tab in the headers, and if you go for the map layers over there, and if you go with the older versions, it is you can actually see map options as well. And if you will also have data layers as well, data layers will give you different census data. It will have a drop down, and you can even select different data to layer over your already existing map to compare it with different data types. So it is just like drop down option. You can select whatever your data you want to analyze over there, and you can even create a layer based on sales city, or like you can use some color codes. And in the map layer also, in the background style, we have different options. You can select the map layer. So we have normal satellite labs, street layers, etc. We have it. And you can create your style based upon the data, and based upon your requirement you can change your styles, and you can create different versions of maps. And if you want to go for a darker version, or if you want to go with streets or satellites, you will have all these things available inside Tableau as a default. You just have to click the drop down and click on the option what is available. That's it. So we also have background maps, have map layers, and this is background maps. And in the background maps, we have different styles like this over here. So whenever you're working with the version over there, like you want to give a different background map over here, the options available or the same things like light, normal, dark, streets, outdoors, and satellites. We can also import the background maps from some services like Mapbox, and we can use different kinds of backgrounds based upon your theme of whatever you're building on the entire dashboard with. We will see how to use them whenever we go with the tool, and we can work with some of the maps, and we can see how they will look like. And when we go with select with different background maps, we will see how they will look like in the live. And in the maps, we have some map sessions, we have some background. We will see what are the common issues we will be facing whenever we're working with the maps. And if you see here image over here, we are getting like some unknown values, and how to map these unknown values, how to relate this data to already existing content like city or state or region. It can be anything. We will see what are the common issues we will face whenever we're working with the maps in Tableau. So the common issues for maps are, like I just listed some of them over here. It can be mapping of locations, because Tableau will not recognize the point of latitude and longitude sometimes. So it can throw some as like unknown values, or sometimes nulls, because it will not find anything over there. It will give some options of what to do with that kind of data. So it will throw you these three options. Do you want to edit the locations, filter the data, or show data at default position? So these are the options we will get whenever you find the common issues like unknown data or location, or did not recognize anything inside the data. We will discuss about all these values, all these options we have whenever we're working with data, and how to do whenever you get different kinds of errors. Let's go quickly into our tool and see how this works. So the first one we will be seeing over here is map layer. So for the map layers, because we have a hierarchy over here, I'm just removing the hierarchy, and I will drag state into the detail. So this is also hierarchy. Let's take back our hierarchy. Just remove the hierarchy, take the state out of the hierarchy. Okay, and I'm just using the state into my details. So the detail will be showing according to the state wise. I just got this map to show the state wise details, and this is showing me the sum of sales, right? So whenever I just go into the map session over here on the tabs, you will have different options inside the maps. We will talk about map layers first. So what is a map layer? Inside the map layer, you will see the styles first. This is the background style. So you will see light, normal, dark, streets, outdoors, and satellite. These are the options you will see. If you just select dark, this is the background of the map will be changed to completely darker background. And if you go with the streets, it will highlight the streets on the map and it will throw you this kind of map, and it will show you what are the streets available. So if you go with the outdoors, this is the option we are getting for outdoors. It's showing the same map. It will go with the satellites. This is the map we are getting from satellite map. You can just compare it with the Google map, for the comparison purpose, like see how does it looks like whenever you have different options. So how it will look like when you toggle with different options available. The satellite one is completely related to the Google because it will capture this grove from the outside source called Mapbox. So this Mapbox is one which is providing the complete background to the Tableau. This is inbuilt and you can actually click here to get it directly. But if you want to go with different background maps, you can actually import them through these options. Like we have some option services. One is called Mapbox Map, the second one is WMS Map, etc. And you can import the different kinds of maps like cycling maps on the roads or any kind of walking routes, etc. They will provide all the kinds of maps and you can import them through this option. This is one extra option we'll get whenever we're working with the maps. Like this is completely not necessary, but it's a good to know point, that's it. And you will get all these options. If you say none, it will go to the default option without map. So let's go back to our light one and or the normal one and what we are comfortable with. And so we will get an option of map layers over here. So this is like a map layer. You have the options like you can actually hide or show any kind of points. It's kind of a checklist. You can actually hide, show any kind of options coming up on the maps. This way, if you see here, we are actually showing everything state and province. If you just uncheck it, what happens is it will not show all for etc. You can actually go with all the basic things, whatever we have, whatever like land or whatever areas we have, like land cover. It shows the coastline. It shows the states of like wild areas, etc. It will give you the deeper depth of what maps will look like, and it will actually show like elevation changes. So you have like different options over here to compare it with. Coastline displays with the coastlines to show what are the coastlines, boundary is the water areas, etc. Street, highways and roads, you can actually check that if the data is available, it will throw the checkbox over here. And you can also look at the light gray outer line of the country borders, etc. And we have these different kinds of layers available with us. We just have to check it and it will show like country name. It will highlight the US country names because we have the US data. But all the map layers are basically to say that are almost related to the US content. So if you just scroll down here, if it will show all the US metro boundaries, US water labels, area code labels. This is completely related to the US data. And if you see here, we also have one more thing called data layer. Data layer is whenever you want to compare your own data with whatever data Tableau provides us. And let's in this case, data is completely related to the US. And if you have related US data, you can actually compare the data with this available data of map layer available. So what if I just want to see the US population based upon the population? And if you see here, this is the US population. It actually came up with different color, lighter color. Okay, we will just set back to the darker color. If you see here, the shade of red is actually gave it to the population of 2018. if you just remove the sales, you can actually see the content of what all the areas it gave us. It actually created a range for each color, and it's actually throwing up some values. And if you want to compare this kind of comparison with whatever sales data, related data I have, what I will do is I'll just drag my sales onto the labels or something like that, and I will see the sales according to the population. So if you see here, the deeper red is actually telling us that, okay, the range is between this number, and my sales is actually higher in this area because I have a much more population in that state, right? So it is like directly proportional. You can even compare it with like this. So US households income median maybe. So it throws all the values related to the household income, the average of range of household income at that particular state. If you see here, we have got a darker red in this corner, and it says it's Washington, and I have sales of 1,38,000 in that area because the income is high. It can be related to some scenarios like this, maybe because they have like higher income and they're purchasing more or something like that. It is completely relatable sometimes. And we can even see with the occupation of the each person. If you just go with the occupation of the color, and you just got these values into darker red shade. And if you see over here, white color population is higher in the state when compared to the other states. So we can do some analysis on whatever data we wanted to, and the default thing we are seeing here is for US population. That's a major drawback because we can only compare it with US population. And if you want to compare with US population, Asian people, where they stay most, etc., like if you see here, the dark red color is giving some values. Let's change it to a different color and see how this looks like. See, the greener ones are like mostly Asian population. And so what are the sales in this Asian population related? So we can actually relate it to something, to ethnicity as well. If you want to, you can actually relate it to that as well. So this is all about map layers, and if you just look at here, we can actually get the data according to the country, postal code, and census as well. Because we are selecting the data according to the detail mark as like say state, so I just selected with the state in the data layer as well as a comparison. But you do have an option to select the country or postal code or census or whatever thing. So if you go with the county, the Asian population in that particular county will be coming up over here. If you see here, we have a detailed level of which county has what population, and each place, the greener version is a higher version of Asian population, and the red version is actually the lower population of Asian version. If you want to go with American Indian or something like that, we can actually look at where are they staying and what are the sales in that particular state or in that particular county, etc. And we can even select the postal code as well in the drop down menu. And postal code is more level of detail, so it is by going to a detail box over here, the level of detail has gone to the postal code, and it gave us like the color according to the postal code, right? So this one is coming to different shades of red and green, and it's going into a deeper level. And if you just are going with the postal code, we can actually drag the postal code into the detail, and this one will give you the sales of level of detail related to the postal code. And at the background, you're seeing the US population of white American Indian ethnicity based upon the postal code, and we can relate our content with that content. So whenever you're working with maps, we do have an option to select the mark type, and if you see here, it is coming as automatic. And but you can go with different kinds of marks over here. You can go with density map is kind of middle pointy, will be darker, and the other portion will be transparent around the dark mark. So if you go with polygon, it will look something like that. So it's not related to, so it's not suitable for the map. You can go with different shape, and you can select different shape from this area. You can go with the square or circle or triangle or whatever shape you wanted to give it to. And you can go with circle over here, you can go with square, and line and area maps are not recommended because that won't be connecting anything onto the map. You'll be looking something like this because they have to connect the points related to even the bar maps, the points are connected. So it is advisable to go with square or circle or any kind of shape, or you can directly use a filled map also in some cases like this. So if your scenario is like whatever data you have, you can select a filled map as well. So right now I'll just go with the automatic and let's take Tableau decide of what is the best thing for my map. Okay, this is all about the map options we have, and I'll just go back to no data layer because I wanted to show how to add a data layer. Tableau from 2020.4 released the map layers, and if you see here, my detail is actually showing the postal code. So what if I have, let's drag state. So what if I have state on my mark card detail version and I'm just showing this sum of sales, and I wanted to add a layer. If you remember, we just used a pie chart to show on each state using a dual axis. Before when we are talking in the previous different maps we kind of used a pie chart to hover on the map and show the dual axis. So this dual axis will create a layer, right? So if you wanted to talk in the technical terms, what it will do is it will create a data layer on the map. So that option is directly provided into the map from Tableau. They gave us the option from 2020.4. And if you want to show some different kinds of layers based upon your base layer, so the base layer here is state because I just added the stated over here. And what if I also wanted to show city? So if I just drag city on my map, so in the left corner you will see add a mark layer over here, and if I just drop it city over there, what it will do is it will create one more mark over here for the city. Let's drag back our map. Okay, this one is our map and we have got one more map layer for the city, considering the city inside. Previously, how it was like, I'll just undo it for a second and I'll show you how it is looking previously. Let's undo everything and see how is the map looking previously. So it is how it is showing is like it is showing a state-wise sales over here. And let's go with the field map, it will be better to understand. So this one is giving me a state-wise filled map. And what if I wanted to add drag city onto my map layer? So if I drag maps layer and I just drag city and it added one more card like this over here and it showed me city over here. So the state one is a fill map. If you see here, we just actually had a fill map. And in the city part, we are getting some values here. This is the city. And this is one more layer added on the top of the filled map, and you can actually change it into different shapes like one meant. So the marks card will allow you to do actually change according to the shapes. So what I will do is I will also add some color to my map. So if you see here, we have got different colors on the city. It is showing one more layer on the state. So based upon the state, and if you add some of the sales over here on the labels. So because we added sales on the city marks card, it is showing the labels according to the city. If you see here, we are actually seeing so many city values coming up. This is like adding a layer on of it. And you can add as many as layers as you want on your map. If you just add postal code, this one will go deeper depth and you will see more circles on you. That means the level of detail increased here. So the circle increase, the level of detail increase, and this will show the data according to the postal code. This is like layering your data. The first map is your fill map, and second you added city, and second you added the postal code. You can add n number of layers onto your map and show the visualization in different layers. Like you can show the level of detail into deeper versions by just adding on to the layers of map. So this is about map layers. This is the second option we have related to the map layers, and this came up in the recent version of the Tableau. And if you see here, the controls over here is zoom in, zoom out. The map controls you get even on the dashboard. You see these controls. The first one is zoom in and the second one is zoom out, and you have a fixed map that's spinning your map on that particular space. You just actually fix it, and you can move it if you just drag it, it won't move, it will be fixing like that. And if you just hit this option, the last one, this will give you a magnifier. That means the zooming area. This will related to the pan, so you can actually click on that and left click on the map and drag your map. And if you see here, this rectangular option is for rectangular selection, and you have a circle option as well. You have a lasso selection as well. That means it will be selecting a data like this. This is a lasso option, so you can actually select like this. And you have the options over here coming up in the arrow mark, and you can actually select anything according to your requirement. You can actually work on these options. And whenever you're working on the maps, you can see an eye coming up on your marks card. If you see here, this is called visibility. You can switch the visibility between the map layer, and you can actually switch off the eyes, and you can actually switch off the visibility like this. I just unselected the postal code. That means it will not show any dots related to the postal code over here. If I select it again, I can actually switch it back to the content. So if you just select it again, that it cross up, that visibility is off. And if you click it on again, it will show you the eye mark again without the cross. That will actually show all the points related to that particular marks card. So if you want to rename any of the marks card, you just have to click on arrow and say rename. You can rename, you can hide the marks card, and or else you can remove the marks card. You can disable the selection. So also add to the zoom content is this one, adding to the zoom content over here, and you will get the option by just clicking on the arrow mark over here. You can rename it to different names, and each map layer you will get those options. So each mark card is like each map layer. You will get options for each map layer over there. This is all about the map layers and the background maps, the data layers available to compare it with the map layers you got in the recent release, and how to use them, how to create layers on the layers. So this is all about creating the maps and using them for different purposes. So let's now talk about what are the common issues you might face whenever you're working with the maps. So the first issue, so if you see here, we have 353 unknown locations over here. That means if you just click on unknown locations, these are the three variables you will get to edit the unknown values. So how do you want to work with this 352 locations? Do you want to edit the locations? Do you want to filter the data? Or do you want to show them in default position on your view? So showing the data at default position is like showing the special values in the axis. So if you see here, you have like show the special values on the axis. For example, null values are shown at 0, like means that's here the starting 0 value. So if you just go with the edit locations, these options you will be seeing this pop-up box. If you see this geographical roles, which can be country, state and city. So Tableau automatically recognizes that this data can be related to state. So because I observed some state in your data, so this can be related to the state because I just some of the matching values over here. And but I just wanted to got this 353 unknown locations from my data set. So this data has everything, but I'm not sure about some of the cities you have over here. So for that, I'll just what to do is the country is already USA, because we know already the data is related to USA, and we can select the state from state value, because we have state and we have city in the data set, and right now the error is coming from the state. So for that, I will say from field called state. we just have to point out to value it actually belongs to. So if it is a city, we have to point it out to city, and if it is a state, we have to point it out to state. So right now all the 353 values which are not recognized belong to some kind of state. So that's why it did not match up the content. If you have to repoint that and click on OK, this 353 values will also be included onto your view. So this is how you can actually edit locations. I will just show you a simple scenario how it can be mapped. If you just pick state onto the map, so every state is actually mapped. You do not have anything which is not mapped. So it already recognized the state. So we will go with the city. City has 353 unknown values not mapped up. So how to map the city, because 353 values are not mapping up because the state is not recognized for them. So for that particular city, I did not see the state. I did not recognize the state. So what we will do is we will look up how the country is working. So we only have one country recognized as United States. That's not a problem for us. Okay, I'll remove this. So I'll go with the postal code. So the postal code is also mapped up very well. It doesn't have any unknown values coming up. The only thing we are seeing right now is the values which can throw some errors is only city. So I'll just go with the city. I will say this 353 unknown values, edit locations, because my city is the virtuous one creating the issue. If you want to see all this 353 coming up, these are the red ones are not recognized, and your country and region is coming up well because it's recognized as United States. That's why it is showing up well. So only one is city which is not mapping. So I will just go with the state and map it to the state. And if you see here, you will see the state and province over here. It will automatically come up into your data set. So the city inside that particular state are recognized now. So these are the values which are not recognized, and you can see here Tableau will automatically maps up them. So what if I do not want them to map, but I want them to filter out the content? If you just click on filter, what it will do is it will filter all these 353 unknown values into the filter mark. So the latitude and longitude of that particular 353 unknown values are added to the filter, and that data will be excluded from your dataset. I'm stressing on it again, that data will be excluded. So this one is not a possible option whenever you're working with the data. The excluding part, it's not a good thing to go with. You just have to map the content to your state, city, but you should not exclude them, because the values, everything you're showing, what the values is showing will be excluded from your data, right? So you have to show them either in the default position like this, or you just have to point out this to whatever city or it is not mapped to the right city or state. Most of the times we'll point out to the right value. It can be region, it can be country, it can be city, postal code. You will get to know whenever you see error, and if you just go look up with the data, you will definitely find what it is. And I just recognize that error over here is related to state. Why? Because I just had this none over here. If you see here, I just had none, and I have to say that it is a state. So I just selected the state automatically. It recognized everything and all pointed all my values. So these are some of the common issues when you're working with the maps, and these are the three options you will be working with whenever you find these issues inside your data set. So this one is the last topic we are going to discuss in this session and this week. So this is the end of whatever topics we covered. So the summary of this week is we have learned the nested LODs, and we have learned what are the use cases. We have learned 1 or 2, 3 use cases where we use them to show how the nested LODs will give you a different value whenever you want to compare it with the separate value. So the level of detail will be completely changed whenever using this nested LODs. So the other ones we spoke about is geomapping, geospatial data. We discussed about what is geomapping, what is geospatial data, and when are they used. What are the common questions whenever we are coming with map kind of visuals? What are the common questions? So why we are going and selecting a map and with the scenarios? Why are we selecting the map for the questions? So if you just see, you can answer with maps. Yeah, we have different standard maps inside the Tableau as well, and we discussed about how we can create different maps using different layers, how we can create a pie chart over it, how we can make a line or make a point over it. So these are some kind of options Tableau will provide us inside the map. And we discussed about map hierarchies, how to use map hierarchies, when to use map hierarchies, and how the drill down option will be coming up on the map, and how we saw map layers will be the data layers which Tableau provides as the default data layers, and the background maps available for the outdoor, satellite, etc. And how we can actually use those options and use the input layers from the map box, the US content for the US content. We spoke about common issues we'll be encountering whenever we're working with a data set. It can be geographical coding content, or how to work with common issues whenever you face like null values or unknown values, or map them according to the actual dimension or actual point. So this is all about for this week, and thank you so much.